There's something quietly powerful about people who grew up in the 1970s. For decades, their childhood has been misunderstood. Often described as careless, underprotected, or emotionally distant. But psychology is now beginning to recognize something very different. What looked like a lack of structure was actually a powerful form of training. A kind of slow, natural conditioning that built resilience from the inside out. Not the loud kind of confidence that needs attention, but a calm inner stability. The kind that doesn't panic when things fall apart. People who grew up in the 1970s were shaped by a world that didn't hover. And that absence did something remarkable to the brain. The first psychological insight is deep self-direction. Psychology shows that when children are given real autonomy, their brains develop stronger executive function. That's the ability to plan, adapt, and make decisions independently. In the 1970s, adults didn't schedule every hour of a child's life. You were sent outside, trusted to manage your time, your friendships, and your mistakes. You learned through experience, not explanation. When a plan failed, you adjusted. When something went wrong, you figured out another way. As adults, this shows up as people who don't wait for instructions or validation. They're comfortable taking initiative. They don't need someone constantly telling them they're doing okay. They already know how to move forward. The second insight is emotional self-regulation. Research indicates that people who learn to sit with emotions early in life develop stronger emotional control later on. In the 1970s, there was no instant escape from uncomfortable feelings. No endless entertainment. No immediate reassurance. If something hurt, you felt it. You lay on your bed. You stared at the ceiling. You let the emotion rise and fall on its own. Over time, your nervous system learns something critical. Emotions are temporary. They don't need to be fixed immediately. This is why many people from this generation don't panic under stress. They don't rush to soothe every discomfort. They trust themselves to endure emotional waves without being overwhelmed. The third insight is an internal locus of control. Psychology describes this as the belief that your actions shape your outcomes. For 1970s kids, this wasn't a mindset taught in books. It was daily reality. You came home to an empty house. You handled yourself. If you forgot homework, there was no safety net. If you broke something, you dealt with the consequences. Over time, this wired the brain to see life as something you actively participate in, not something that happens to you. As adults, this creates people who don't feel helpless when things go wrong. They look inward first. They ask, what can I do differently? That belief alone changes everything. The fourth insight is calibrated risk awareness. Modern psychology shows that children who experience manageable risk develop better judgment, not recklessness. In the 1970s, you climbed trees, rode bikes fast, jumped from questionable heights, and learned through trial and error. You didn't just learn what was dangerous. You learned what you could handle. This built an internal risk calibration system. As adults, this shows up as people who aren't paralyzed by uncertainty. They can take calculated risks without being impulsive. They trust their instincts because those instincts were sharpened through real-world experience. The fifth insight is tolerance for boredom and discomfort. Psychology has found that boredom is a powerful driver of creativity and self-reflection. But in the 1970s, boredom wasn't treated like a problem to solve. When you said, "I'm bored," the answer was simple: go find something to do. So you sat with that restless feeling. You wandered. You thought. You created. Over time, your brain learned how to generate ideas from nothing. This is why many people from this generation can sit in silence, wait patiently, and tolerate uncertainty without anxiety. They don't need constant stimulation to feel okay. Their minds know how to work on their own. The sixth insight is comfort with solitude. Research shows that the ability to be alone without distress is essential for mental health. In the 1970s, alone time was common and normal. Friends weren't always available. Phones were shared. You spent hours by yourself reading, drawing, thinking, or just existing. You learned that being alone wasn't the same as being lonely. This created adults who don't depend on constant social validation. They can recharge alone. They don't fear silence. They know who they are without an audience. Another overlooked strength is patience and delayed gratification. In the 1970s, waiting was built into life. You waited all week for your favorite show. You waited months for summer. You waited years for milestones. Psychology shows that delayed gratification is linked to better emotional regulation, stronger relationships, and long-term success. Your brain adapted to a slower rhythm. You learned that anticipation adds meaning. That good things are worth waiting for. In today's instant world, this patience looks almost extraordinary. People who grew up in the 1970s also developed a unique relationship with failure. Failure wasn't softened or reframed immediately. You failed a test. You lost a game. You didn't make the team. And life went on. No one rushed in to protect your self-esteem. This taught you something crucial. Failure is feedback, not identity. As adults, this creates resilience. When relationships end or careers stumble, they don't collapse. They adjust. They learn. They keep going. Socially, this generation developed sharp emotional intelligence. Without constant adult mediation, kids had to navigate friendships on their own. They learned to read tone, body language, and unspoken tension. They learned when to apologize, when to stand firm, and when to walk away. Psychology now recognizes these skills as advanced social cognition. These adults often sense problems before they're spoken. They understand people beneath the surface. Now, many of these individuals are parents themselves. And they carry a quiet wisdom. They resist overprotecting their children, not because they don't care, but because they understand that competence builds confidence. They know that struggle isn't the enemy. Helplessness is. They give space, not neglect. Trust, not control. If you grew up in the 1970s and sometimes feel out of sync with the modern world, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain was shaped by freedom, boredom, responsibility, and trust. You weren't overprotected. You were prepared. You are living proof that resilience doesn't come from constant safety. It comes from learning, slowly and honestly, that you can handle life. If this spoke to you, you're not alone. Subscribe for more psychology insights that uncover the hidden strengths behind different generations and personalities.